What is going on, everyone? Luca Rosano here, back with another video. Hope you're all doing well. The last 24 hours have been crazy in the NBA, and that is thanks to Kevin Durant, hours before NBA free agency opening up, requesting a trade. He wants out of Brooklyn. Kevin Durant is on the trading block, and now it's going to become a matter of which team will step up to the plate and give Brooklyn what they want to acquire KD. Now, Kevin Durant has expressed that his preferred destinations are the Heat and the Suns, but the Nets are going to be interested in getting the best possible package. And that is why I wanted to make today's video, because the Toronto Raptors have the assets that could be enough to get a Kevin Durant to Raptors trade done. And I dropped a similar video a couple days ago when I speculated, before Kevin Durant said that he wanted out of Brooklyn, a Raptors Kevin Durant trade. And a lot of people thought I was crazy speculating it because people thought there's no way that could happen. And here we are a few days later, and this is a possibility. When it comes to Kevin Durant, the Toronto Raptors do have what it takes to offer Brooklyn a very compelling package. And I'm actually going to play a clip from Zach Lowe, who did float the Raptors' name when it came to Kevin Durant.
I can tell you who my first 3 phone calls are if I'm Sean Marks. I'm going who are the best 22 and under players in the league, and where can I trade Kevin Durant for one of those players? And Kevin Durant has enough around him in that new team to win. Call number 1 is Toronto. Build me something around Scotty Barnes. If you put Kevin Durant with Pascal Siakam, Precious Achiuwa, Fred VanVleet, maybe OG Anunoby, you could win the championship next year. And you're all going to tell me Kevin Durant's not going to want to go to those places. He wants to go to Phoenix and Miami. And that's fine. That's where everybody starts working together. That's what if I'm the Nets, I say, Masai Ujiri in Toronto, you have my permission to sit down with Kevin Durant, try to sell him on this vision, because this is the package I want.
And then Woj said that a team that's lurking in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes are the Raptors.
I think a team that's lurking and is going to lurk in this is Toronto. They have all the kinds of pieces that you would want and their picks to do a deal for Kevin Durant, and they have an organization, a leader in Masai Ujiri, who certainly you saw the chance he took on Kawhi Leonard with 1 year left on his deal. How far are the Raptors willing to go in an offer to Brooklyn? Would they offer Scotty Barnes? I think that's a player that Toronto, almost under any circumstances, would not like to part with. But having him on their roster, Pascal Siakam, all the other talented players, contracts that might match up, I think you keep watching Toronto to see how involved they might get for Kevin Durant.
When you look at what Kevin Durant will be making, he's entering the start of a 4-year, $194.2 million extension next season. He's set to make approximately $44.1 million and is due to make about $54.7 million in the 2025-2026 campaign. Now, when looking at what the Raptors can send over in a potential trade for Kevin Durant, Siakam is set to make $35.4 million next season, and Fred VanVleet is due $21.2 million. So not only are Siakam and VanVleet Toronto's 2 best players, but they're also Toronto's 2 most expensive contracts. Now, if there is a trade to be made for Durant, including one of Siakam or VanVleet should be expected, as their salaries would most easily bring a deal to fruition. Now, they wouldn't both be able to be flipped for Durant by himself, for those of you speculating a Fred VanVleet and Siakam for Durant trade. But if the Nets were to include other assets like a Joe Harris, then that's something that could work. Now, beyond their 2 best players and their all-stars of Siakam and VanVleet, the Raptors also have very compelling young 2-way wing players that could be something that the Nets are interested in. Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby are due $17.5 and $17.3 million respectively next season. So packaging one of the 2 along with a Siakam or VanVleet could be appealing enough for the Nets to want to make that deal. And then there's the last part of the equation. The Raptors do have the reigning Rookie of the Year, and they have, in my opinion, the biggest trade chip, and that is Scotty Barnes. And this is a guy who has so much potential, and he is somebody who you don't know how good he can become. Would Masai and the Raptors really be willing to sacrifice Scottie Barnes' entire career for a short championship window with Kevin Durant? Well, Masai Ujiri did trade DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard, and that was for only one season. If the Raptors were to trade for Kevin Durant, they would be getting 4 seasons of him. That's a much larger sample size. Now, Barnes is set to make $7.6 million next season, which means he would have to be part of a larger transaction. As far as the Raptors' picks go, they have all of their first-round picks for the foreseeable future. And one thing to note is the Raptors would not be able to trade consecutive picks. So it would have to be first-round picks every 2 years, for example. The Raptors currently have plus 2,000 odds of landing Kevin Durant. So as you see, the Raptors have a lot they can offer for KD. They got 2 All-Stars, 2 guys in OG and Gary Trent Jr. that are tremendous two-way young players, and you got the most coveted prize of them all, and that is Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes could very well become a superstar one day, but the Raptors don't know that. We don't know that. So would the Raptors be willing to put together a package and try to trade for Kevin Durant? Like I said in my previous video, if the Raptors could somehow figure out a way to get Kevin Durant without having to include Scottie Barnes, you do it in a heartbeat, because the Raptors would instantly become championship contenders overnight with Kevin Durant. But if the Raptors would have to include Scottie Barnes, that's something I don't see the Raptors doing, and that's something I don't think the Raptors should do. What would you guys do? Would you want to see the Raptors trade for Kevin Durant? Who would you be willing to include in that trade package? And the most important question of them all, would you include Scottie Barnes in a trade package for Kevin Durant? That is a tough question indeed. We'll see what happens. This might be answered very soon. KD might get traded later today, this weekend, next week, next month, who knows? But something tells me once Kevin Durant gets traded, the floodgates are going to open up in the NBA. Never a dull moment with the NBA, and here's another prime example of that. This is Luca Rosano signing off. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit a like, subscribe, all that good stuff for more off-season content, and I'll catch you all again in the next video.